This is the SONICast, where artists discuss their passion for creating music. We discuss everything about music creation, from the tech needed for success to music education. So if you love making beats, film scoring, or creating sample packs, this is the show for you, where you'll regularly hear from experts in their field discuss their experiences and learn what makes them highly sought-after professionals. Today's guest is Daniel Lara. Daniel is the co-founder of Sonic Productions and one of the lead music track creators for the team. He has an extensive music and teaching education background, as well as a lifelong history playing in churches, leading bands, and much, much more. He has music tracks placed with television and radio advertisers. The interview takes place at his studio. All right, we're back again with Daniel Lara, one of the composers for Sonic Productions. We're going to just take some time to listen to a few of his songs of his work, of his library, and we'll get a chance to hear his creative process through that. So, Danny, thank you very much for doing this again, man. I really appreciate it.
Enjoying it. Thank you.
So I had asked you to pull up 3 different songs so that you can kind of talk a little bit. We can get a chance to know your creative process. And there were a few that you had pulled up. One's called String Phobia. The other is Chill Lo-Fi With Me. And the third is Fade to Black. We've used a few of these, but they're located in our library here at Sonic Productions.
Yep.
And so I want to just really get a chance to listen to the songs, and then I want you to just talk me through them a little bit. I got some questions on them. So
Okay, let's do it.
so let's go ahead and pull up String Phobia.
Okay.
I think that's the first one that we have here on our list. So we're going to listen to String Phobia. It's a really nice song, Danny.
Thanks.
I like that when you first presented that song to me. One of the things I love about music is that music is a means of communicating, right?
Right.
I mean, so we want to communicate by using music. And when I heard that song, I was thinking like blockbuster movie. I was thinking like, a trailer to like a major blockbuster summertime movie.
Thanks.
I mean, it really had a lot of energy and power to it. I really liked the song. Do you start composing that with that in mind, or do you sometimes just let songs create themselves?
I think it's always letting the song kind of guide you in the direction that it wants to go. I really feel that most of the time, the idea, whether it be a melody line or a beat, that I feel that has, a good chance of being the main theme or whatever it might be. In many instances, that becomes secondary to something that happens in the creative process.
Okay.
So I start with this idea, like this line, like, okay, this is it. Like, I really like this line.
Okay.
I'm gonna stick with this, and in that creative process, I discover something else that kind of comes to fruition as a result, because I'm trying to come up with maybe a B part or a C part or whatever it may be. And then all of a sudden I'm thinking like, I kind of like this part better now. Like it's funny how that happens. But Yeah, I just kind of like let it take its course and let it work itself out.
So I would imagine that sometimes as you're creating a song halfway through, you realize this is not the same song I started with.
Yes. Sometimes I'm surprised with what comes out, not because of the quality of it, just because that's not what I intended at the get go. I have something in mind. And most of the time, the genre, it'll still fit within the genre, but
Right.
the idea of like, I really thought this was going to go a different direction within this genre, but man, it just kind of took its own,
So-
life and
so in the-
went this other route.
In the beginning of String Phobia, I'm hearing first this solo piano, maybe a little bit of strings underneath it, and then it hits.
Yes.
So was that the intention, or was it just,
I always feel, and I think that's me. Or first of all, you hear me as a pianist coming through, and that's always
right?
It's kind of hard to break away from the piano, and I know it's
Nothing wrong
not
with
good
that. Oh, that's
because I
fine.
need to stray from it sometimes. So sometimes I will kind of force myself to grab the guitar and to write from that standpoint. But in this case, you can hear
Interesting.
the piano coming through, and my approach to writing a song is always a journey. Like it has to take you on a journey. It has to take you somewhere. There has to be dynamic changes. There has to be, yes, some hills and valleys that you encounter along the way. And obviously have those high points where you want to hear more of certain things, and lines that just, become a catchy a thing that hopefully in the end will stay in your mind, just kind of like the Baby Shark song.
That earworm.
Yes.
Do you ever, as you're working with a client, do you ever start off with something that you think the client wants, and then the song becomes something completely different, and you kind of have to go, well, I don't know if this is the direction I wanted to go in.
Yeah. No, of course.
Interesting.
There's you, and that's part of being a songwriter, producer, whatever, in whatever part you are in the creative field. You have to be okay with someone coming in and changing things on you, and develop the thick skin of not taking it personally, because obviously these are
Right.
works, so these are like little babies,
Right.
for you, and you have to be okay for someone to come in and say, that's cool, but not what I was thinking about. Like, I'm really not digging the piano, or I'm not digging this aspect of it. Can we change it around? Can we make it more this instead of that?
I'd asked one of the other artists this question. I said, what if you had created a piece of music and it was this beautiful masterpiece, and then your client decides to use it for something completely different? So,
Yeah.
use like maybe like this song we heard, Song Phobia. What if it were like in, let's say, a KFC chicken ad?
Yeah.
How does it make you feel as a creator?
Man, as an author creator, I think of course you'd be bummed, because you would expect for it to be used in something that you early envisioned for it to be used
But if
for.
KFC wanted to pay us for this song, by the way,
Right,
we
you
wouldn't
can't be
object.
mad.
We wouldn't object to
You
that.
can't be mad if they're trying to pay you too. So you're like, okay, where do I want to put my foot down? Maybe after they pay me. But yeah, you have to be okay with it taking a different shape, and taking its own, becoming something different than you intended. Especially if someone else comes in with different or better ideas, and you have to be completely open with that too. That you're not it. You're not the, your ideas aren't the end all be all kind of a thing. You have to be open. There's other people that could come in and, man, just help it in such good ways too.
With String Phobia, what kind of plugins are you using on that?
So I am using Project Sam plugin called Synphobia, which was my take on String Phobia, just because I believe that was one of the first ones I did once I acquired that orchestra sampling software. I've had some other ones prior to that, but that's the other thing with naming and creating so many songs. You have to kind of
That's
get
true.
creative and just
that's right.
like, okay, what's gonna help me remember this one? And yeah, anything you could grab onto, um, and just kind of flip it a little bit. Um, Guilty confession. There was one drum beat that, or actually one track that I came up with after listening to a Jonas Brothers song. So I took the Bros and put that within the track just so that I would remember that was something.
Interesting.
Now, I didn't take any of their melodic or anything like that. I just really
Right.
liked one of the drum beats that they had within this song. So I kind of copied some of the drum aspects of it and then
see.
added my own stuff to that. But once again, anything you grab onto
Right.
to help you
Well,
come up with a name.
sometimes great artists will just pull anything. I mean, I don't think there's any piece of music you can listen to without something
Yeah,
influencing
everything's always
anyway.
influence, yeah.
Everything's influenced by everything else.
Definitely. But yeah, that one has String Phobia, and I think it's the second software, and that's such a great software. Man, some great sampling happened there.
How about like the drums?
Drums are
Percussion.
from Native Instruments. You have some orchestral drums in there. There's some hits too, some drops, some bass drops, kind of that switch, that dynamic moment from it being almost like this peaceful serenity to I'm going to kick your door in kind of a thing.
Right.
And that comes from like Symphony Essentials that Native Instruments has, and sometimes just finding samples within even like Omnisphere. Omnisphere has some great stuff, some digital stuff that you stack and kind of hide just to beef up,
Right.
and make your sounds a little bit bigger.
What I like about this song too is I feel like it can fit. I said, a movie trailer to a great blockbuster movie, but what I like about this track is I think it can be universally used for a lot of stuff: television, for commercials, for obviously the advertising things. But it's a very universal power type of a song. That if somebody came to you, you could easily expand this out and make it a much longer.
Right, and this was a very relatively short track for this kind of world, because everything you encounter within this orchestral cinematic scoring kind of field,
Right.
it tends to be on the longer side because you're scoring for a 20, or 5 to 10 minute action scene or whatever it may
Right.
be. So this was just a quick dab in and out, kind of without losing someone within it. Because I mean, if you have to be a soundtrack junkie or fan to listen to soundtracks. I mean, you just
Right.
not many people sit
it's not
down
something
and like,
people
let me
do."
pull up some soundtracks.
Woo, yeah.
And I love like Inception and some of these other ones that, I mean, I could listen to them personally, but I don't
Certainly.
think any other,
Right. Right.
it's not meant for the
And,
average Joe.
and one thing too I admire about you is that anyone can have soundtracks, can buy soundtracks, but to implement them the way you do, to make them work all together, that's real gifting. That's
Thank you.
talent. All right, this is really great stuff. Let's take just a couple of minutes for an advertisement break. Hi there, I'm Dan Young, co-founder of Sonic Productions, your music production company. We partner with businesses to help you deliver your best message, professionally, elegantly, and with the power to capture your audience. Our goal is to serve you as you seek to grow your brand, whether you use Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or other mediums like podcasting or television. We'll work with you to custom tailor a song to fit your campaign, or you can visit our music licensing business, Sonica, to choose from over 100 original songs ready for licensing. Voiceover narration is also available. So when it's time to seriously consider growing your business, consider Sonic Productions to stand out. Sonic Productions. Our music, your story. Visit us at www.sonicproductions.biz to contact our team and to learn more. I want to listen to your another one. This one's a bit of a departure from the last one. Chill Lo-Fi with me.
Yes.
You want to listen to this one?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. right, that's good too. It's very different, obviously, from your string phobia. I like it a lot, and it's I guess by the name, of course, chill lo-fi with me. That's really the lo-fi type of a tune that we're looking for here.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable in that genre? Is that something that you like to do?
Chill. That lo-fi,
that lo-fi kind of
music.
a
Yeah, it's a fun fun genre to do. It is, because I mean you could hear like the jazz influence, because it's
right.
it's more like a jazz hip hop kind of genre, with the whole vinyl filters effects kind of incorporated into it. But it does, like, it's very vibey, very jazzy, kind of pulls out some of the jazz that I can't do on a day-to-day basis with pop tracks and stuff like that. And this is one case where, adding a little extra, in the case of like chords, like adding an extra ninth, flat nine, stuff like that, does actually help. Like, it does make it much nicer, and you depart from the normal 1, 4, 5, 6, chord structure that you encounter in pop music.
Okay.
So yeah,
I hear, it's like I hear like a Ella Fitzgerald or something if she had like a hip hop track backing her up.
Yeah.
Smoky kind of background, That's the best I can come up with.
Man. And this one was fun to do. It was challenging in the sense of making sure that it was within the right BPM, because
Okay.
you want, and I originally did it a lot slower than the version that you just heard. The one that you just heard was at 80 BPM. I originally did it at 70 BPM, so it was really laid back. It was, I mean, if you're into lo-fi music, it's pretty chill, laid back music, for studying, just hanging out in the wee hours of, the night. And I wanted to make sure that BPM was right and that it just felt very laid back. So drums are offset, as you could hear, which is what you encounter so much in that music.
Right.
The piano, once again, is just one of the main instruments there. The bass, once again, just gives me a little bit more chance to be groovy with the bass. And I think I used Trillion for that bass software, which is pretty, I mean, it sounds pretty close to a real thing. And
you had, sorry, you had, I heard through a lot of this, that bass line, that really goes between the jazz to the hip hop, but keeps it really between the two.
yeah, the bass has like secondary role within this, because it has a line that really eventually sticks out.
That's what I was looking for.
Hopefully stays with you and becomes part of this song. So yeah, it plays a secondary line to the piano line that is happening throughout the song.
Now I'm also hearing a different plugin, and it sounds like vocalizations.
Yeah, so
tell me a little bit about that.
I'm a big fan of vocal sampling and softwares that do that. So Output has a couple, including Arcade, that include that. Aside from you being able to do it on your own, by recording something vocally and manipulating through effects and stuff like that. But yeah, that's I felt that it could use maybe a female vocal on there, and the easiest thing was to go, since I'm not a female or can't really sound like one. Just felt like, okay, let's find some kind of sampling of someone that would fit this vibe too.
Yeah.
And that was on that almost like jazzy scatting type of line, and without it getting too poppy.
I think there's real value in having a vocalization modeled, because to actually have somebody come in and you coach them through and say, hey, I want you to sing and do this. It's kind of easier just to have it automatically
just
done.
ad-libbed to whatever I play. But yeah, I'm big on that. So you'll hear a lot of the vocal sampling and stuff like that throughout a lot of my tunes, and actually in the next one that you'll hear, that's a big part as well. And
Yeah.
there's actually, well, once we get to the next one, I'll talk about that. But
Yeah, we will. You talked a little bit earlier about BPMs and that this song originally you had much slower. How often are you creating music and realizing, this would sound better if it's a little faster? This would sound a little bit better if it were slower. And does that change the song overall?
yeah, you got to know what you're writing for, and that will affect your BPM. So you definitely have to know where your genre. If you're gonna want to write up the next, upbeat pop hit, I mean, you can't be in the hundreds, especially if it's gonna be like dance music. I mean, you can't be in the 100 BPM range. You're gonna want to be in 120 and up, kind of thing. And it depends also kind of the feel that you give it. I mean,
Right.
if it's a double time kind of feel, but
Yeah.
you definitely have to know your audience and who you're writing for.
In a previous show, we had interviewed Nick Spann, our sound designer. He had mentioned something about when he's doing, because his music is more of I'm an old guy, so I say techno, and it means a whole different range of things. But his seemed more of an electronic dance music-ish type of a genre.
He's big on drum and bass.
Drum and bass,
Yeah.
right. And he told me that there's a science behind a BPM with your heart rate. Like if you're going for 177, that's like double the actual heartbeat rate. And so he'll write to that to get you a little more pumped. And so I often wonder,
Yeah, interesting.
how, I hadn't heard of that before, but I often wonder if changing the BPMs, like on this one, if you brought it down to where it's slower, I mean, would that just put people to sleep and it's like, it's no interest anymore,
Yeah, you got to be careful too. You don't want to put people to sleep. What's a heart rate? I think usually your heart rate will be anywhere between 60 and 70 BPM. And that's I think normal. Depends on your health, I guess, level too. Because I hear that,
unhealthy health, right?
Well, yeah, if you're a runner, your heartbeat will usually be slower on
resting
that spectrum.
your resting heartbeat.
Heartbeat, yes.
Okay, got it.
So, and then of course, you want your heartbeat to reach a certain point if you're trying to burn calories and, be between, I think 120, 140 or 150, I think is like probably when you're running. So I could definitely see the 177 being like, man, aside from having fun and dancing, you're also burning some good calories. But it's not easy to achieve that heart rate, like up at 150 or something.
Yeah.
I think the older you get, the lower it goes.
A good friend of mine, Gabby Mazar, she has a podcast, the Fit Minute podcast, and she interviewed me one time, and we were talking about how music influences exercise. And there's a big correlation behind the kind of music you have with the type of exercise you're doing. Am I running? Am I cycling? So that's a big deal.
Yeah, you got to have a beat to work out. Definitely and to run.
Let's go ahead and listen to our last one. This song is Fade to Black, and I think it was one of our original promo videos.
Yep.
Right? All right, let's listen to that one.
I can never tell how to fight it down.
That's really cool. Again with the vocalizations.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I like that one very much because it's very upbeat too. So tell me how often do you use this vocalization stuff in your work?
I like it, so I know it's probably not good. I use it all the time, but
it's all good. I like it.
I try to throw it in just because I think it adds so much. But especially if I'm doing like pop stuff,
It's pretty popular too. I'm hearing it in a lot of stuff.
It's
So
pretty much everyone's kind of throwing it in just because it gives a different feel. And there's something to be said about a vocal and the frequencies a vocal achieves, unlike any other instrument. I mean, it's its own instrument, so having
right.
that in there adds so much. And the running, I guess, joke is that I don't know what it means, or I don't know what they're saying in this song. So if you know what they're saying,
please tell
let
us.
me know. Yeah, it was a little sample that I found. So anyway,
That's
then I
pretty
threw it
cool.
in. But yeah, no one knows what it says.
It's good. I also like the string work in this song is cool because I'm hearing not only the rolling strings but also the pizzicato hits.
Yeah,
which
is
is
plucking happening there.
plucking and really good stuff. It's a good song.
So there's a little blend of having the orchestra within this, I guess, very solid, bold statement of pop / hip hop happening there, but yet incorporating like the strings and just the element of them plucking strings and
Right.
creating that contrast of a gentleness within this almost mean sounding song.
So how many different types of string plugins do you have? Is it like one type of string thing that you just pull little bits here and there, or do you have to find several different plugins in order to get what you want out of it?
Some plugins are pretty good about giving you different styles of playing for that instrument, whether it be pizzicato, if it's crescendos that you're looking for, just all the different types. A good software will give you selection, but it's hard to say within one software, because you always feel like, oh, I think this one software has a better string sound when it has to do with, pizzicato, or, this one has better orchestral drums, or this one has a better horn, French horns, as far as that goes. So, or in this case, it'd be better drums, or, because this one's more of a poppy one. So
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, it's a little balance of throwing in all these different ingredients into this.
Now, have you gotten to the point to where you're hearing other people's work and you go, I know exactly what plugin that is.
Yeah,
I know exactly what that is.
First of all, there's so many plugins out there
That's true.
It's hard, but there are certain things that give some plugins away. Certain sounds, just tone, the timbre of some of them that you're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they were using this software for that.
Does that bother you at all?
I don't
listen.
I don't listen to music the same way anymore, because I mean, nowadays, anytime I listen to or I watch a movie, or if I'm listening to a commercial on TV, I'm now analyzing the music behind it, the score behind it, the jingle behind it. When I'm listening to artists, I'm now listening to what the producers are doing.
Yeah.
What instrument is at the top, or standing out, sitting on top of the mix, and which ones are buried, and how they approach all that. So yeah, it's definitely not the same as I used to listen.
Somebody told me a long time ago, because I had introduced what we do to a group of other business people, that we create music for your advertising and for music. And one of the things I said as an exercise, do yourself a favor, go listen to commercials now and listen to what the music does to lead you to buy that product.
Yeah.
And somebody came back to me and they said, you know what, Dan, it's really cool to know how music is really influential, but I feel like you've ruined music for me. Because now I'm not just enjoying the moment, I'm like now listening to it. Do you feel like sometimes if people are using certain plugins, it kind of ruins it maybe a little bit? You kind of like wish, man, you should have tried that other plugin or tried this other style.
No, I think if anything, if something doesn't feel like it fit the genre or the style that they were going for, I think that's when it becomes a little distracting. But if you can, use, I don't know, strings within the hip hop, which kind of happens quite a bit. But I don't know, if you want to use some kind of Middle Eastern instrument in the orchestral setting or a pop setting, you have to make it fit and find the right place for it. Right. If you do and you're successful, then that's where it's like, man, that sounded like I've never thought about using that instrument.
Do you sometimes hear it misplaced?
Or you hear stuff that you're like, like I'm not sure I would have done that. But then again, who am I to say?
Well, it's in the eye of the beholder, right?
Exactly. Beauty and value is all in the eye of the beholder. So, but yeah, there's certain things that now distract me, like, going to the movies. It's hearing scores now, soundtracks. What are they doing? Like, like the runs, the way they mesh things together and interweave melodies together, and how different instruments pick up certain lines. One leaves the line, finishes with a certain line, and the other instrument picks up with it and continues it in the next journey as the music is going along.
Again, I really admire your ability to put music together, and I also admire your level of education in scoring. You create some pretty good stuff yourself.
Thanks.
There was one of the songs we did for a client for Alaska. We called it the Alaska theme.
Yes.
And it was just a beautiful soaring part. How do you feel if maybe a movie producer came to you and said, "Hey man, we want you to make this soaring romance story kind of a thing"?
Yeah, I would be excited and also scared for my life at the same time. It's one of those things where, it's a whole other beast. The scoring side is a whole other beast. And there's certain things that definitely getting more into that world is something I would love to do. But yeah, I would totally be excited for it and take up the challenge to do it. I know it'd be difficult, but
So
from now I get to do it more on the music bet side of it without having to sync it up with actual. Although I have done some syncing with actual scoring to like video content, and it is tough. But doing it for a film would be a whole other animal.
Well, it's the next challenge for Sonic Productions.
Yeah,
we're going to have you, those of you listen out there, let's bring it the challenge. All right, great. Daniel Lara, this was fantastic. Really great job, Daniel. I love your pieces.
You,
this is a lot of fun to have you break them down. And thanks for listening, everybody. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks, Dan, for having me.
You got it, bud.
You've been listening to the SONICast, where artists discuss their passion for creating music. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. You can find show notes in the descriptions, as well as information to hear more from our guest. You can also visit us at www.sonicproductions.biz to license music and shop for some cool merchandise. Sonic Productions, our music, your story.